Good morning. I'd like you to welcome to Southeastern IT's new YouTube channel. Um, would like to ask that you subscribe to this channel. We'll be putting a lot of content up there going forward, primarily tutorial videos, but we'll also have other information that we want to disseminate to campus. That might be easier to do a video than send out an email. And well, hopefully we also get better viewership of these videos that we get our emails read. If we can accomplish that, this channel will be a win. We also have a Facebook page. Southeastern IT has a Facebook page. We'd ask that you like and follow that Facebook page as well. Although we will be sending out links to this video and email, we'll also be putting it on that Facebook, linking it on that Facebook page as well. So if you're following that page in Facebook, that may be the first place you get a notification for it. Today's topic we're going to talk about. Let me transition scenes here. We're going to talk about onboarding. With the implementation of Colleague on campus, this process is changing. Historically, we've used the computer resource request form to provide network resources for all of our various network resources, whether it's logging into computer, email accounts, Blackboard, or Campus Connect. Accounts for that was all achieved by doing a computer resource request form. That is changing. The computer resource request form is not going away, but there will be certain resources that no longer require a computer resource request form. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But first thing I want to do is, you're going to hear me referencing this fictitious individual here quite a bit during this video. This is a employee that we're hiring by the name of Mr. John Doe. He's going to be a regular full-time employee. He was born January 1st, 1980. His Southeastern ID is listed there. He's going to work for me at the help desk as a technician. So when you hear me refer to John Doe, just keep in mind this is kind of the fictitious background for that individual. Well, to try and keep this video as quick as possible, let's just jump right in. And with John Doe being a staff member, let's talk about staff first. All right, onboarding of staff. Let me read a part of this here, and then I'm going to emphasize several portions of it. And so we got a new staff member coming in, John Doe. No computer resource request form is required to get a newly hired staff an email address or a computer login account. This is very important to understand. With the implementation of Colleague, that is now all an automated process that starts in human resources. Not for all network resources, not yet anyway, but for computer login and email, you do not need to do a computer resource request form. That is true of faculty, adjunct, and staff positions. Okay, we'll talk about student workers and graduate assistants are a little bit different, but faculty, adjuncts, and staff members they do not need a computer resource request form to get email and to get a computer login. That's all. That begins when their file is complete with human resources. That kicks over to our system, and those accounts are automatically created. Okay, so definitely want you to keep that in mind. I also want to talk about this right here, and I have it kind of highlighted in this. At the current time, there is no formalized automated process for alerting new staff of when their email and computer login account is ready. Obviously, this is a huge gap in the process, and we're working to resolve the issue. In the future, what we anticipate is the fact that the personal email address is collected for new hires. We're thinking the best way to accomplish this will be in the future to send to their personal email address their email, their Southeastern email address. So to their personal address, we will send them an email that notifies them of their Southeastern email address and their temporary password. That looks like the road we're going to go down on that. We're working to accomplish that. It is not, at the time of this video anyway, that is not been implemented yet. So it's going to be important that you, as the hiring department, make your new hire aware that their email address will be set up in the historical fashion, which is as it is here for John Doe. First initial, last name, at se.edu. So for John Doe, it's jdoe at se.edu. Now, historically, when a computer resource request form was done, we would have created the account exactly the same for email and computer login. It would be jdoe, would be the username, jdoe at se.edu would be the email address. But historically, we've used just a password that was SOSU and the year, okay? Because Colleague and the automatically generated accounts now use a different format for password, we've changed our process to mimic that just for continuity's sake. So passwords going forward will be first initial, last initial, and those will be capitalized. And passwords are case sensitive. So as you'll see right here for John Doe, who remember when we looked at his example employee form a while ago, he was born January 1st, 1980. So his temporary password will be JD capitalized 010180. Okay? So your new hires, although we don't have a formalized automated process yet to send out an email to them to let them know their account's ready, you can let them know that when their account is ready, that it's going to be first initial last name at se.edu, and their password will be in that format. It'll be first initial capitalized and their 6-digit birth date. Now, common names, like if, for instance, John Doe's last name was Smith, there may be a middle initial involved. Those instances don't happen that often, but just understand if you have a new hire that has a common last name, there is the potential that maybe there, like for instance, if John Doe, if he was John Smith and his middle initial or his middle name was Lynn, and there was another J Smith on campus, then his account would be JL Smith. Okay, so for common last names, just kind of keep that in mind. But what I want to impress on you, and I know we're looking at staff here, but this is going to be true of staff, faculty, and adjuncts. They do not need a computer resource request form submitted to get an email address and a computer logon. That's going to be automated, and it's going to be created through the process that begins in human resources. Okay, when is a computer resource request form needed? All right, well, let's cover that. I realize this is staff, so it's going to be a lot less often that they would need Blackboard or Campus Connect. But those are your two resources that require a computer resource request form. You'll need to submit a computer resource request form if you have faculty, adjuncts, or staff that need Blackboard accounts or they need a Campus Connect account. Okay. You'll see that I reference on Campus Connect. See, Campus Connect is going away at the end of the summer 2020 semester. Colleague will take up the slack on Campus Connect. So at the end of the summer semester, a computer resource request form will no longer be necessary for Campus Connect. This is also going to be true of Blackboard, but we don't have the date hard yet, okay? But so coming in the near future, the computer resource request form will practically sunset entirely for faculty, staff, and adjuncts, okay? And we'll communicate further with campus once, when Campus Connect goes away, when the need for a computer resource request form Campus Connect goes away, as well as for Blackboard. But right now, no computer resource request form is necessary for, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to make sure this is understood. No computer resource request form is necessary for computer login and email for faculty, adjuncts, and staff, okay? A computer resource request form is necessary for adjuncts, faculty, and staff for Blackboard and Campus Connect. All right, this item D right here is something I want to make note of. Because a computer resource request form is not needed for faculty, adjuncts, and staff, please do not select computer login and email. I know the mindset a lot of times is I'm going to mark every resource they need. But what happens in that instance is the help desk then gets a copy of that, and we go in and go through our process, which is filling out this form right here. We fill out this form, and I pre-filled it out with John Doe's information. But if we get a form for John Doe with this information, and we fill this form out and we click Create Account, what's going to happen is John Doe may have already been using his email. Maybe he's been using it for a few days. Maybe he's been using it for a week. He's logged in. He's reset his password, and he's checking his email, okay? And then the hiring department realizes he needs Blackboard and Campus Connect, so they send in a form for Blackboard and Campus Connect. But when they do that form, they also have checked. And let's just jump in here and look real quick. And when I say computer resource request form, that's the form located from the website, faculty and staff. Okay, and come down under the information technology area to computer resource request form. Okay, and it does require that you log in with your Southeastern email or computer login credentials. They're technically the same. So, and this form pops up. Okay, and this up here is the requester information. So whether you're the department chair or the supervisor or the departmental secretary and you're filling out this form for a new hire, this is your personal information up here, the requester's information. And down at the bottom, this is the new employee information. But what I'm referring to is where it says resources requested. Okay, if they need Blackboard and Campus Connect, just check those two. In other words, so when you're filling out this form, the mindset to not have is I'm going to check every resource they need. Don't do that. Check only the resources they don't have that they need. Okay? And in this new hire situation for adjuncts, faculty, and staff, they're not going to need computer login and email. Because again, to summarize the situation that often happens, that form for Blackboard or Campus Connect gets sent in after they're already checking their email, and we go in and redo that, and it resets their password. So now you've got a situation where an employee has been happily checking their email for a week now, and they've reset their password and all that, and then all of a sudden now they can't get into their email. Why has that happened? Well, it happened because when the computer resource request form was sent in to try and get them Blackboard and Campus Connect access, it also had computer login and email checked, and that process reset their password back to that JD010180. Okay, so make sure you only request what they need that they don't already have. All right, that's going to be important to know going forward. So we ought to be clear on staff. Adjunct and faculty are basically exactly the same as staff. Okay, for new hires, no computer resource request form is needed for computer login and email. They do need a computer resource request form for Campus Connect and for Blackboard. Okay, and again, only check the resources they need that they do not have. And email and computer login is going to be something they already have. All right. Now, let's jump over and let's talk about, because there's really no difference between faculty and staff, I'm going to just jump over here and we're going to talk about adjuncts. Because historically, adjuncts have had an expiration date on their account, just like student workers. Okay, that has now, that's sunsetted on adjunct faculty. So adjunct faculty's accounts no longer will expire. And this is great news for departments who employ adjuncts, because those returning adjuncts that come back every fall or every spring semester, you're not going to have to redo a form for them every semester. Okay, they're going to be kind of like full-time employees in that you're going to do the form once, and it's just going to stay available until they are no longer used. Okay, and that is the big difference there. It's going to be incumbent on the department that hires that adjunct. Okay, so if you have an employee that's returning, even if they only teach every fall semester, okay, their accounts are just going to stay active. Okay, this is going to be where if you hire a adjunct faculty and they don't work out, you don't like them. Okay, you had them here in spring 2020. At the end of spring, you've said we don't need to hire them back. Okay, you need to send an email to it@se.edu and let us know. Okay. That this faculty member is no longer going to be with, we're not going to use them again in the future, so you can disable their account. And then we will disable their account accordingly. So again, adjunct accounts will no longer expire, which is, again, great for the hiring department because you don't have to continually redo that computer resource request form constantly or that renewal form constantly. You'll just do it once on their new hire, and they will just rock along until you let us know to disable that account. So I think everybody will be pleased with that. However, just because we removed expiration dates does not mean that inactivity could not lead to an account getting disabled. Okay, so and this is going to be something that's especially for adjunct faculty who maybe they only teach every fall semester, or they teach fall and spring and not summer, or whatever the case may be. If they have a time period there where they're not teaching, they still need to check their email. They need to check their email once every 30 days to keep that active. So make sure you talk with your adjuncts and say, even though they taught in the fall, they're not going to be back in the spring or summer, but they'll be back the next fall. Let them know they need to continually check their email at least once a month to keep those accounts active. Okay. That'll just make everything easier, because if that adjunct faculty member does not check those accounts and that account gets disabled due to inactivity, you're going to have to fill out a new form. Okay, so just with that adjunct faculty member, make sure they understand, even though they're not teaching a class that particular semester, they need to check their email at least once a month. All right, so that's really about the only difference between regular faculty and adjuncts as far as computer accounts. Again, and I know this is sounding like a drinking game, but I'm going to repeat it again. For adjunct faculty, new adjunct faculty, no computer resource request form is needed for email or computer login. It is needed for Blackboard and for Campus Connect. Okay. Right now, because we're transitioning to a situation where we used to always have to fill out forms, but we won't going forward. Okay. The need, and what we've done is went in and we've already removed all the expiration dates for adjunct faculty. Okay. So if you have adjunct faculty that have been teaching for you, and going into the spring or summer semester you had thought, okay, I'm going to have to do a computer resource request form at the beginning of that semester, you will not. Okay, the only time you'll have to do a computer resource request form to get Blackboard and Campus Connect for a new adjunct faculty member is when they're hired the first time. Okay, and then as long as they continually check that account at least once a month, that account will remain active until the hiring department lets us know to disable that account. So I think that's good news. I think everybody will appreciate that. Now, let's jump over to student workers. So departments that employ student workers and graduate assistants. The process has not changed. Okay. Student workers and graduate assistants require a computer resource request form for new hires and returning hires. Okay. And even though we've removed expiration dates for new hire adjuncts, we have not and will not be removing the expiration date on student workers. Okay, so when you hire a student worker, you need to do a computer resource request form, and you need to make sure you put an expiration date. Now, that expiration date does not have to be at the end of the semester. Okay, that expiration date, if you are hiring a student worker as a freshman and you anticipate they're going to work for you through graduation, okay, you can put that the expiration date is May 31st, 2024. That's just fine. But it is going to have an expiration date. Returning student workers, and I'm going to define returning student workers so you'll know what I mean there. That's a student worker that returns past the expiration date. Okay, so maybe a student worker that you hired and you thought were just going to work till May 31st of 2020, and they come back and work for you in the summer. Okay, that returning student worker is going to need a computer resource request form. Okay. Now, that same student that, let's say, you thought was going to work until May 31st, 2024, you thought they were going to be with me for 4 years, they don't become a quote-unquote returning student worker unless maybe they didn't graduate in May and they're going to continue working to summer or maybe even fall of 2024. Once they are past the expiration date, they'll require a new form. Okay? So really trying to minimize the amount of paperwork needed to get these accounts going. So, but student workers, again, put an expiration date you think is realistic for when that individual will no longer work for you. And if they continue working past that date, you'll have to do a new computer resource request form. Student workers, unlike staff, faculty, and adjuncts, student workers need computer resource request forms for email, for computer login, and if they need Blackboard or Campus Connect, they've got to have a computer resource request form for every network resource. Okay, and that hasn't changed. That's always been the case in that. So what will happen is when you fill out that computer resource request form, you will get an email that looks like this. Okay, the user account. This will be the subject of the email. It'll come from an account named Southeastern Oklahoma State University. But the email subject will be the user account for John Doe has been created, modified. And this will be the body of the email. All right. It will be the hiring department's responsibility until there is, again, a automated, formalized process for letting new hires know the information that we pull from colleague. Okay. Until that process is implemented, the burden falls on the hiring department to alert these new hires what their login information is. So the submitter of the form or their supervisor will get this email and it will have this information in. Now this is for anybody that submits a computer resource request form. Okay. Again, a new hire, adjunct faculty or staff, they're not going to get this email, and there is no formalized automated process for notifying them. That's why I'm just simply letting you know, as a hiring department of a new individual, okay? They're not going to, right now, at the time of this video, they're going to get no notification of when their account is ready. You just need to simply make them aware that, John Doe, your account is going to be, when it's ready, jdoe@sc.edu. And your password is going to be your first and last initial capitalized, followed by your 6-digit birth date. Okay. And again, like I said, we know that's a gap in the process, and we're working to close that gap. And as I said before, we believe that what's going to happen is we're going to wind up sending an email to the personal email address, which is collected during the hiring process, and provide that information. All right, let me jump through my tabs here and make sure I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. All right, I believe I have. All right, so again, just to kind of summarize the entire video in as few words as possible. Faculty, staff, and adjunct professors do not need a computer resource request form submitted to get their email and their computer logon account created when they're hired. Okay. They do need a computer resource request form submitted to get their Blackboard account and their Campus Connect account. Okay. Blackboard and Campus Connect, when those accounts are ready, communications will be, CIDT will communicate about the Blackboard account. Administrative computing will communicate about the Campus Connect account. Okay. Student workers and graduate assistants. That process hasn't changed. The computer resource request form is needed for all four, for email, computer login, Blackboard, Campus Connect. A computer resource request form will be needed for student workers and graduate assistants. And you'll get that automated email I showed you in return once those accounts are ready. Okay. And again, remember, as the hiring department, a new hire coming into the colleague system, right now there is no formalized automated notification to those individuals. Okay. At least at the time of this video. Hopefully that will change soon. But right now, it's just going to be incumbent on the hiring department to let those individuals know, when your account is ready, John Doe, it's going to be jdoe@sc.edu, and your password's going to be capital J, capital D, and your 6-digit birth date. Okay, and that account will get created just as soon as the file is complete in Human Resources, and it's kicked over to our system. So, trying to think in my head if I've forgotten anything. I think that's everything. So again, welcome to the Southeastern IT YouTube channel. Please follow this channel. And again, down in the description below, I'll put a link to our Facebook page. We'd ask that you like and follow that page as well. I hope you found this video to be informative. But you can always call the help desk if you have questions. On campus, that's going to be, you can just dial help on the keypad, which is 4357. If you're off campus, you'll need to dial 580-745-2408, or you can always just email helpdesk@sc.edu. All right. Thank you for watching the video, and have a good day.